Chapter 3, Sacred Blood Armor Translator, Naiwabo Studio Editor. Naiwabo Studio. Han Sen returned to his room, made a fire, and started boiling the black beetle claws and shells in a pot. Without tools and know-how, he could only use the most primitive methods to process the shells and extract the geno essence. The shell of a sacred blood creature would take more than an hour or two to cook, so Han Sen covered the lid and took out the black crystal to take a closer look. Still, no clues whatsoever. Suddenly, Han Sen caught a glimpse of the caged green-scaled beast the size of a civet cat in the corner of his room and suddenly had an idea. Like black beetles, this green-scaled beast was an ordinary creature. Han Sen used to prey on them and bring them back to cook and eat to increase his geno points. But later, green-scaled beasts no longer increased his geno points, so Han Sen didn't eat the last beast and forgot about it. Surprisingly, it was still alive. He grabbed the moribund green-scaled beast from the cage, hesitated for a moment and was about to feed the black crystal to the beast. To his surprise, seeing the black crystal, the dying green-scaled beast gathered all its strength to stretch out its tongue, roll the black crystal back into its mouth and swallow the whole crystal. There is indeed something magical about the black crystal. Han Sen was stunned and found that the green-scaled beast seemed considerably more lively after swallowing the crystal, its 4 claws scratching and head moving to bite Han Sen's hand, which was on its neck. Han Sen threw the green-scaled beast back into the cage and carefully watched it. The beast, which hadn't fed for days, completely recovered its vitality, thrashing and scratching wildly in the cage, just like it had when it was first caught. Han Sen sat across from the cage and watched the movements of the green-scaled beast. He had a guess, and if he was right, he might have obtained something incredible, something more exciting than a sacred blood creature. But Han Sen was afraid he was wrong, so he could only stare at the green-scaled beast anxiously, hoping to see the change that he desired. Han Sen nervously stared intently and did not realize that he was starving until he smelled bone broth from the pot. Looking at the time, he noticed almost 24 hours had passed. Rising to check the black beetle shell in the pot, he saw the golden color of the shell had been boiled off and the broth had become golden. It smelled so good that the hungry young man's mouth watered. About to scoop up a bowl of soup, Han Sen suddenly heard iron breaking from the cage of the green-scaled beast. He quickly turned around and saw the green-scaled beast had bitten off an iron bar of the cage and stretched out his head from the inside. Its light green scales had now completely turned a dark green color. Its teeth had become sharp and the tips of its 4 claws were like iron hooks. The beast was about to come out of the cage. Han Sen was pleasantly surprised and pulled out the dagger from his waist. He rushed to the front of the cage and stabbed the dagger into the lower belly of the green-scaled beast. With a turn of the dagger, the green-scaled beast stopped struggling. Primitive creature green-scaled beast killed. No beast soul gained. Eat the flesh of the primitive green-scaled beast to gain 0 to 10 points randomly. The strange voice sounded in Han Sen's mind and left him stunned. Primitive green-scaled beast. Primitive creature. So the crystal can really make these creatures evolve. Han Sen was overwhelmed with joy and did not know how to react. After a long time, he suddenly cut open the green-scaled beast with the dagger and uncovered the crystal as big as a pigeon egg. Taking no heed of the blood on it, he kissed the crystal twice and then wiped it clean, holding it in his hands like it was a great treasure. The crystal was really the reason the black beetle became a sacred blood creature. If the green-scaled beast had continued to evolve, could it have become a sacred blood creature too? Han Sen almost dared not think about it, because it was just too amazing. He was so excited that his hands were trembling while holding the crystal. He bit his tongue and cried out of pain so as to know that it really was not a dream. After remaining excited for quite a while, Han Sen carefully put the crystal away, gobbled up the shell broth, and gained another sacred geno point, bringing his geno point count to 8. Without tools and means, his primitive method couldn't extract all geno essence from the shell, but it was good enough that he gained 1 sacred geno point. Han Sen realized that he had gained a sacred blood beast soul of a black beetle when he killed the golden black beetle, and he quickly accessed his profile. Han Sen, not evolved. Status, none lifespan, 200 years. Requirements for evolution, 100 geno points. Geno points gained, 79 geno points, 8 Sacred Geno Points. Beast Soul gained, Sacred Blood Black Beetle. Type of Sacred Blood Black Beetle's Beast Soul, Armor. What would the armor of Sacred Blood Black Beetle's Beast Soul look like? Before Han Sen finished the thought, a golden shadow shot out of thin air, looking exactly like the golden black beetle. The golden black beetle flew to Han Sen's chest, turned into a golden liquid and started to cover his whole body. In the blink of an eye, Han Sen's whole body, together with his hair, was all wrapped up. The streamlined gold armor was full of power and impact, and covered his whole body as if it were a suit of Gothic medieval armor instilled with improved aerodynamics. It looked just like a piece of art. The whole suit of armor felt full of power and speed, making Han Sen look slender and majestic, as if his whole body were full of explosive power. With shining metallic luster, the armor was gorgeous and had a solid texture. At first glance, it was even somewhat like the gold cloth worn by golden saints. The difference between the gold cloth and the beast soul armor was that the armor covered the head and body completely, with only a few gaps in the joints where different pieces overlapped, just like the black beetle itself, which was the only weakness of the beast soul armor. Han Sen moved around in the armor and there was no feeling of heaviness or clumsiness. Instead, he felt that his body had become a little lighter and full of energy. Indeed, this was armor from a sacred blood beast soul. It is way more gorgeous than the ones from primitive beast souls that I often have seen at Steel Armor Shelter. Han Sen felt ecstatic. He used to envy people in armor of primitive beast souls and had never thought he would get a suit of a sacred blood beast soul one day.